On the Radio is brought to you by Zurich Insurance, the perfect place to catch up with all things Melbourne. If you enjoy this content and want more inside access from the team, make sure you visit the club website.
Welcome back to Sportsday. We're here for Red Energy and for Kia. We did jest a little bit, Bruce Eva, at the top of the show that it's the soft opening of the premiership defence. Carlton taking on the reigning premiers, the Demons, at Marvel Stadium tonight. Gary Pert is the
You were
reigning...
saying to me off air you think it's a grand final preview.
Come on now. The reigning premiership CEO joins us live from Marvel Stadium. Gary, welcome to you.
Hey, Sam and Bruce.
Gary, 13 days away from the real thing and the grand final rematch. Do we have any inclination as to what kind of crowd will be there?
Well, it's pretty exciting, isn't it? It feels like it's all getting very close and very real. I see Gill come out and said he's expecting 90,000 people. Look, I think that'd be a best-case scenario. I think if we were getting in the high 70s for the first game, that'd just be huge. And I just know so many Melbourne supporters are just wanting to be back at the MCG, see the players and really see that flag unfurled. And, you know, that's something they've been dreaming of for just literally 50 years.
And Gary, seen you brought up about the flag unfurling, and we're talking about 13 days' time. Were you tempted just to go with Ronald Dale Barassi at the flag unfurling solo, or did you want to make it as broad as possible, which you have done, given the time between premierships?
Oh, look, I think it was important. Like, Ron's going to play a very big role, but I think he'll enjoy having these other legends and champions around him. And what we tried to do is we tried to get a couple of legend Melbourne past players from the eras that have bridged between the last premiership and the current one. And I think there's a really good combination of players, and the supporters will love to see them out there surrounding the flag, and Ron will hand it up and they'll unfurl it, and I'm sure everyone will be very excited.
Well, we're all excited to see if Melbourne can defend their premiership. It's just it's a great time to be a Demons fan, and great to be back in Melbourne, Purdy as well, after what happened in Perth last year. Hey, just before we get into all of that, can I ask you about Daisy Pearce? Do you feel a little uncomfortable that she's been approached by other clubs and seemingly, you know, most notably Geelong, for a role next year? I know she hasn't absolutely committed to retiring, but she's a wanted commodity at the moment, Purdy.
Oh, look, I'm not uncomfortable at all. I've been chatting to Daisy for the last couple of years about what she might do when she retires and when's that time, and then what would be the next steps. You know, she's still playing really good footy, and in her own mind hasn't even decided what her next step is. Now, she'll have opportunities at Melbourne. We've already talked to Daisy about that. But we know by our conversations there'll be other clubs and other organisations, including media companies, that are putting proposals in front of her. And because she's such a good player, she's got such a good footy brain, she'll be a magnificent coach. I think she's an exceptional media performer. She's going to have lots of opportunities, and like I said, we'll put something in front of her, but we'll support her in anything that she wants to do, because there might be opportunities elsewhere that we just can't match. And we owe Daisy so much. She's been such a great player and ambassador to the club, and we'll support her in whatever path that she wants to go on.
Purdy, more generally, can you, as an administration, do anything to safeguard the club from a premiership hangover? I mean, you were at Collingwood when they last won the flag, and 2011 certainly wasn't a premiership hangover. I mean, they were in front in the grand final at half time. But as an administration, is there any possible safeguards to look at that from an overall perspective?
Well, really, all I do is just make sure we've got the right people in all the right positions, and as long as I've got Alan Richardson heading up the footy program, Simon Goodwin coaching, you've got a player leadership group like we've got now. I mean, I can tell you now, from the very first session of pre-season, these guys come back as a total group, and they were on. There was no easing into it. They were very focused. They're very clear about what they want to achieve this year. And in a lot of ways, I just sit back and admire the quality of these people on and off the field and know they're going to be driven to perform. There'll certainly be no sitting back, patting ourselves on the back or staring at the cup all day. That's long gone.
A few weeks on now from the Simon Goodwin story, how big a toll did it actually take on him?
Oh, look, it's unfortunate. I don't think any coach or any club would expect documents that are board documents to be leaked onto the front page of the Herald Sun, multiple days. That's pretty disgraceful that would happen. But I think for Goody, what he's seen is he's probably never experienced a rallying of love and support by the club and the players and the board and the footy industry like he's received in this time. I think everyone's looking at it going, Goody, like every other coach, is a growing, evolving leader. He's done a lot of work developing himself, as he's talked about in recent times, and he's just such a great leader and ambassador of the club. And I think the whole industry's looking back going, they admire what he's done, where he is and what he's created at the club. So I think I've never been involved in a club that is so solid and aligned all the way through the organisation, and Goody feels that love, that's for sure.
Who leaked the documents, Bertie?
Well, I mean, these are things that I think most people would have a pretty good idea, but I think that's beside the point. I think it's over and done with now. So,
but you must have felt like, Purdy, that someone was trying to sabotage the club. I mean, you call the leaks disgraceful. I'm sure a lot of Melbourne fans would agree with that.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. Like, anyone that leaks things that are misinformation, they're untrue, they're out of context, the list goes on. You do that leaking because you don't want to be held accountable for what you're putting out there. And anyway, that sort of certainly goes to the character of the people doing it, not who they're leaking things about.
But you're confident that anyone or any people who leak documents are no longer at the club?
Oh, look, I would like to think that the whole thing's something that we've dealt with. I think the club's taken a very strong position of supporting its people, but we're not going to get caught up in responding to things that are, not accurate and not reflective of anything that's going on at the club in recent times. And we've just let it slide through and focused on our people, our program, where we're at, the quality of the club right at the moment. Like I said, never ever seen an organisation as aligned as what it is now. And we just stay focused on the exciting opportunities that creates, not going back into all those other elements.
Speaking of those opportunities, moving forward, Purdy, two-part question. What are you tracking for in terms of a membership figure this year? And have you been able to commercially capitalise on the premiership, one in Perth, as much as you would have been able to had it been one here in Melbourne?
Oh, look, if we were playing in Melbourne, it'd be a whole different commercial outcome. But the reality is, we ended up in Perth, and we knew that was the case, and we set ourselves, once we got into the hub in Perth, and the players and coaches were determined to win that cup, bring the cup home, celebrate it, and give the Melbourne people that they knew would have loved to have been part of it. They were all locked down in Melbourne, and it was so important that we played our role to bring a bit of light into everyone's life. But the players are pretty focused on, getting back onto the MCG grand final day at the MCG in front of our supporters. And commercially, it's been a strong start. Membership in all our different categories has been very strong. We'd like to think that we'll get to probably 65,000 members this year, and if we continue to perform on field, we'd have a target of 75,000 next year. And these are numbers I think most Melbourne supporters would have thought we'd never ever get to. And we're fundamentally a different club. We'll have a different financial resilience once we get to a point where we have a membership reflective of the bigger clubs. So it is a bit of a game changer.
Purdy, every Melbourne supporter I run into is just itching for the grand final rematch to kick off the year and see that flag unfurled. Congratulations again, and good luck for the premiership defence.
Great, thanks, guys.
Gary Pert, the CEO of the Melbourne Footy Club. We'll be back after this.